My name is Joy Jimenez, and I'm a writer in residence for Gemini Inc.'s partner workshops. Our writing prompt today is based on my illustrated video poem, Quarantine is a Dragon. This lesson also includes a fill-in-the-blank worksheet. You can find the links in the description below. I think quarantine is such an interesting word, and it's a word we've been hearing a lot these days. What does quarantine actually mean? Our guest today is Amanda Flores, who will help us out with a few definitions.
Quarantine is a health practice put in place to protect the public by preventing exposure to people who have or may have a contagious disease.
In my poem, Quarantine is a Dragon, I use both personification.
Personification is a figure of speech in which a non-human thing or idea is given qualities of a human. For instance, this lamp sulked with sadness, disappointed that he wasn't prepared for his cameo in the poetry video. This lamp doesn't really have feelings, right? Or posture.
And zoomorphism.
Zoomorphism gives animal-like qualities to non-animal things. Personification, human qualities, you can remember because it has person in the word. Zoomorphism, animal-like quality.
If quarantine was a house guest, who or what would that house guest be? Once you've decided who quarantine is as your house guest, we're ready to begin. You can use the worksheet, which is linked in the description below, or you can write the words out yourself if you prefer. Quarantine is blank. The first line is where you're going to write who your house guest is. Line 2 says, blank ing round my blank. The first blank is a verb with an ing at the end, so this would be an activity that your house guest quarantine does a lot. Location. That could be somewhere in your house. It could be outside in the yard, or your closet, or at the dinner table, or sitting on the front porch. You decide. Quarantines blank are blank. The first blank is a noun, and it should be something you can see on your guest, like clothing or fur, or accessories like glasses or shoes, or even body parts like eyes or hair or fingernails. And the second blank is an adjective describing that first noun. Line 6 says, quarantine smells like blank. What is something you smell often while staying at home? Does quarantine smell like your mom's perfume, like homemade food, or maybe like too many bare feet in one room? Line 4 and line 5 go together and they say, quarantine feels blank like blank. The first blank is an adjective, and this is about the sense of touch. If you reached out to touch quarantine, what would you feel? That second blank compares that adjective to something else you've experienced while staying at home. So, what does quarantine feel like? Does quarantine feel soft, like the blanket you cuddle with at night? Does quarantine feel warm, like the sun that comes through your window? Write down what quarantine feels like. Line 7 says, quarantine blank. This is a verb, and it's an activity that makes a sound. We're referring to the sense of hearing. So, what does quarantine do that makes a sound? Line 8 and line 9 go together. So line 8 and 9 say, I get tired of blank and I feel blank. What is something you're tired of experiencing while staying at home? Line 9, and I feel blank. So what is the feeling you have about quarantine, especially when you think about how tired you might feel about something that your guest is doing? Line 10 says, I ask quarantine blank. What is something you want to know about quarantine? Write down what you would like to ask quarantine. Line 11 and line 12 go together and they say, in the blank, I admire blank and I feel blank. All right. First blank is a time of day or year or season. It could be in the morning or the afternoon or the middle of night or in the middle of dinner Or maybe in the spring. In the blank, I admire blank. In this time, what is something that you admire? You can admire something about your guest that refers to something good that's happening because of staying at home. And I feel blank. What is a feeling that comes up when you admire quarantine? Line 13, I enjoy blank. What is something you get to enjoy because of staying at home? Line 14 says, I offer quarantine blank. What would you offer your guests? Now we're on the last two lines, lines 15 and 16. Quarantine turns to look at blank and then asks blank. So who or what does quarantine look at? It could be the sky, it could be your messy room, it could be your unpainted toes, it could be your whole family or just you. What is it? Who or what does quarantine look at? And then what does quarantine ask? Since this is your last statement, you want it to be strong. What is that one question your guest would want to know? Think about the tone that you would like to end with. It could be funny or witty or sad or angry or protective. It could be confused. Think about how you would like the poem to finish when you're thinking about this question. How did your poem turn out? If you'd like to share your poem, you can do so in the comments below. And if you would like to check out some more writing prompts, go to Gemini Inc.'s YouTube channel. Thanks for writing with me. Bye.